everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi. We are here with Apollo plopping down into his crate, as well as part 4 of our series focused on W.T. Benda and his artwork for Life magazine, which I've kind of given the moniker of masks. So as you can see, we've got a flipped over canvas, so guess what? That probably means we have a finish, and we do. I'm so excited to be completing this finish on the day of the actual kit launch. Take a look in the description box for any for details on timing, but this kit does launch today. I just will make sure that in the description box we have a time. And I have the window open and someone with quite the brakes that was breaking, loud whistling outside. But yeah, I'm super excited to share this kit with you. I have my it's got a little schmutz on it. Let me get my logbook so I can give you some dates and facts and figures. Let's see what's over here. Okay, perfect. So let's get right to it. This has been an absolute joy to work on. It's been such a fun week sharing the art of W.T. Benda, the style of W.T. Benda, and a little bit of culture as well with you all. And so we're here with the finale and the finish of this kit. So let's get right to it. Without further ado, here is Masks by W.T. Benda. All right, I hope you liked that little noir pan over that I tried to put together. But here we are in full color. The masks are W.T. Benda image from Distracted by Diamonds. Thank you so much, Robin, for sending this over for me to do yet another series with. I think this image turned out so good. Seeing it in camera kind of for the first time is amazing. So before we get into everything, I just want to give you some quick details here. Okay, here we are. So this is once again a 62 by 71 round drill canvas with 48 colors. No enhancement drills were provided in the box, however, we'll get to it. There is some extra stuff happening here. And this was my 18th finish of the year, 18th finish of all time. So yeah, super excited to share this finale or finish with you. There's a lot that I did here. This is probably the most enhanced or just kind of dolled up canvas that I've ever worked on or I've ever done. There's a ton going on in here, and I'm so excited to share those details with you. But before we get into that, I just want to talk quickly about pros, cons, all of that stuff with you in regards to this canvas. Really, the majority of everything I have to say here is pros. I don't have many cons, if any, I guess. My experience with Distracted by Diamonds has always been really positive, and that was the same for this canvas. You can see there is a lot of detail work going on this figure, as well as some detailing work here on the dress and here, but also a lot of black color blocking. I really liked that I didn't notice any gapping or anything like that. Very minimal, if any, trash, even in all of this 310. It looks good even up close. I'm very happy with how the 310 turned out. It just looks really good. So we have that piece. Like I said, drill quality, canvas quality, symbol clarity, everything was really great. I didn't have much trash, if any, to speak of. Some little bits and bobs in the bags or in the containers as I worked, but it was nothing that was like tabby or anything like that. It was just, you get those little bits of acrylic and stuff here and there that you just need to kind of pop in your trash or just kind of scoot around or move out of the way as you're working on that particular color. But overall, I am stunned with how great the detail is here, how great it worked up in general. It went pretty quick. Keep in mind, I did have this going on in the background with other finishes. So I started this kit on November 1st and I finished it on December 9th, just to give you a scale of, this is being pre-recorded. But I was also able to finish Stormtrooper Stained Glass, Saved by the Flamingo, Rainbow Cloud from Mooney Made, as well as the very last pieces of Where the Fun Never Ends, all while this kit was going on. So if this was my only whip, it would have happened a lot faster, but I was trying to keep things moving and grooving from me being able to share some stuff, and then this was kind of my little secret project. So I think it looks absolutely fantastic. The way that the skin has been rendered here looks so good. Those transitions of colors don't look awkward, they don't look blotchy. It just was rendered so well, and it gives it a really realistic and life-like kind of feel to the transitions. Even as the shadows are hitting the under part of her arm and the shoulders here, these color transitions that that Robin has included here really work out well. There's 3 different skin tone colors that we're working with here, a little bit more in her cheeks as well, but I think overall it looks great. And then as far as any like overall cons, quote unquote, I really don't have any. This was a joy to work up. The only piece that had me a little bit concerned, and on camera and from a far enough away viewing distance, it's totally fine. But you can see right here, let me see if I can get you the original image. Yeah. You can see this figure's hand is kind of reaching up behind this woman, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, like, I don't know how that's going to render out, just from what I was seeing on the actual charting and on the canvas. And here's the original image. You can see that shadowy hand in the background, and it's kind of like this with its thumb over, and it looks like the rendering software, and maybe even someone came through and hand touched it, did their best to give that some representation so it wasn't completely washed out. In the camera, I think it looks fine, and at a viewing distance, it looks fine. Up close, it's just kind of an outline of a hand, so it's a little bit different than the rest of the composition of the piece up close. But when you take a step back and what I'm looking at in the camera, it looks kind of like a little shadowy hand or a shadowy kind of piece back there. So I think they did the rendering software, and whoever hand charted this, if they did it the best that they could with kind of what was given here, just because it's so, you can see it back there, it's so subtle, and there it is there. So I might have filled this 310 in with maybe, if I could find just a slightly lighter shade, I don't know, maybe DMC, this is the best you can do with the DMCs that were given, or maybe even do a deep blue like a 939. I'm not sure. I almost wanted to play with it in the moment, but I wanted to show you what that rendering came out to look as, and I think it looks fine. So there's that. I really think this is a piece that's going to speak to a lot of people. It's just so eye-catching. Look at how much of that contouring detail you're getting in this mask. It just looks fantastic. It looks very lifelike, and it looks there's a lot of depth and texture to this image that I'm just shocked by. Every time I finished a section, I was like, what the heck? This is incredible. This is by far, well, maybe not by far, this is my favorite canvas that I've ever worked on. And I'm so excited that this ended up getting to be my last finish of 2022, because it's just, what a way to wrap up the year. And especially for this series to go up over New Year's, like this is such a New Year's kind of roaring 20s, just like it's perfect. It's so perfect. And thank you again, Robin, for sending this over. I really think that this artwork's going to speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to take joy out of it. It's not an incredibly difficult canvas. There's obviously some sections of confetti throughout, especially here in this area, but even that was fairly approachable. And then you get the reprieve of the skin tones of the 310 background. So I never felt overtaxed. I never felt bored. It all just moved along really nicely. and I think it would work for the majority of diamond painters. It's really a cool image. So yeah, that was my only con, was just how that hand could be perceived as far as a rendering standpoint, but I think it looks fine. The other thing that I thought was interesting too, some of the versions of this kit, you can see here that this transition from this side of her head to this side of her head to up to the arm, that could easily be charted as part of the arm, and it's just the way that this has been rendered and what this image kind of came out to look at. Some versions of it definitely look like this is part of his arm and that's one of those flowers, and then it goes up to his hand. Other images that were maybe the color was corrected or maybe there was a different version, these are clearly two poofs of her hair, her red hair kind of coming off in two poofs. But then if you think of it as being his arm coming up to his hand, it looks like she's just kind of wearing almost like a swim cap style look, and her hair's short. So it was hard for me to decide which way to go there, but because this was rendered so brightly, very similarly to the other flowers, a lot of those same colors were charted there. When I got done, it almost to me looks like it's kind of his sleeve coming up to his hand behind her, and that's just yet another flower, because down here is also part of his sleeve. You can see it in this original image, some of his sleeve right there. So it almost makes sense that the sleeve would kind of come up and over, similar to how it does there. So that's kind of how I interpreted it. Had I leaned more towards this being her hair, then I probably would have not enhanced that section, but I did what I did. I think it looks fine. You could go another way. I would just say, because these are all charted as red, that you might want to readdress that and look maybe for some more reddish browns to alter, to swap out, because what you get is the same red from the flowers. So I think it's just depending on the version of this image. There was lots of gray area with these two pieces here, and I leaned towards it being a sleeve. So let me know what you think. I'm going to pause you for just a second so I can grab all the enhancement drills that I used, so I can remember the names of them and we can call them out as we go through, because this is a kit that this is the most I've ever done to a canvas, and I'm so excited to share all of the detailing here that you might not even be able to notice from this distance. So let's get into it. 1 second. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to call out the different specialty drills that I did use here. I'm going to show you the actual drills from their containers and show you everything that I used, and then I'll call them out as we go. I think it'll be easier than me like picking it up, setting it down, picking it up, setting it down. The other thing that I'll do after I show you them in their containers is I'm going to probably pause this one more time just so I can, actually, we'll mess with it. Sometimes when I bring the canvas really up close, things get a little weird. But straight from Distracted by Diamonds, they carry their own series of different dazzler gems. They call some of their products jazzy gems. There's a lot of different enhancement drills that you can pick up right from Distracted by Diamonds. So Robin sent me over from a couple different kits. I just incorporated what I had in my stash. This Starlight Opal jazzy gem. That's kind of like it's like a bronze gem. Let's see if we can get close there. So we have that. I also used Ruby Sunlight jazzy gems. These are like a really bright red gem. And jazzy gem essentially is just kind of like an AB+. It's got a ton of sparkle, a ton of iridescent glimmer, and these have a really nice yellow hue. So I have those, and then the last one I have is a rose gold jazzy gem, and you can see the iridescence there has like a nice pink look to it as well. So I had those three directly from Distracted by Diamonds. From there, I utilized a number of different sparklers from DP with Sparklers, and this is where things got a little nuts. So we're gonna go through them. The first one that I used was called Sparkler Coral Reef. This is just how I store them, but it's kind of a pinkish magenta kind of color here. Lots of iridescent sparkle there. So I used those. I'll set those up for here. I also used another sparkler that's called Moonstone, and this one's kind of, it gives me like bluish green, kind of almost, I don't know how to describe it. Every time I look at it, it just gives like this bluish kind of minty look as well. It's just very unique and different. Moonstone, I just really liked that. Then we also used a glow-in-the-dark drill. This is the Sparkler in Opal Seafoam Glow Glass. Opal Seafoam. So on the canvas, it has not quite a lime green, it's a little bit more yellow, but you can see that there. I haven't looked at this in pitch black, so I don't know if it really glows or not, but I used it mainly for the color. Then we also used our Sparklers Aqua, and I use these in a couple of different kits, but it's just an aqua blue, kind of a lighter blue. So I have that. So there's those. I think that's it for that. And then we used the Sun-Kissed Sparkler. So this is a gold sparkler, but it has just a little hit of almost like a slight yellow to it. Very interesting. I'm also getting slight little pink hues from it. It's a really interesting color. It's hard to see on camera, but we'll take a look at it on the canvas. Next up, we used Sparkler Sunshine, which is a little bit brighter, and then Sparkler Gold, which you can see is a little bit deeper. So we used both of those. And then the last one that we used was Sparkler in Butternut. This one's a little bit more of a kind of a, I called it kind of a vanilla or a cream gold. It's just much more subtle and light. So in total, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 enhancement drills on this kit. For those gold ones, as we go through, it's probably going to be hard for me to identify which ones are which. So I'll probably just say in general, here's where I used some of those gold hues, of which there were 4. So from a distance, I can tell you that all of those gold hue colors are just used in our female figure. So her dress here, her hat or her cap, and then the mask that she's wearing, that is all going to be where I used those 4 gold drills. I did not use them on the other figure whatsoever. I really wanted her outfit, her dress, her costume to really pop and have this kind of encrusted look to it, whereas his, I preferred it to be a little bit more straightforward, some not as encrusted looking, so I left a lot of these colors unenhanced. You can see those here through these yellows, this yellow here and here, through here. Those are all, here through his hand, those are all swapped when we move over to her outfit. For his outfit, he got the majority of those colored drills. So actually she doesn't have any, or for this figure's outfit. So the aquas, the coral reefs, the moonstones, the glow glass, that's all on his, or that side. The only time you're gonna see some of those colored drills on this side are gonna be here in the lips. And then some of the colors that are on both sections are going to be the rose gold jazzy gem and the Starlight Opal Jazzy Gem. Those are the 2 that did find their way to both sides. So I tried to kind of basically split the kit down the middle and create a different effect for each of these so they really had a unique costume. So that's kind of how I approached it. I just really, at the end of the day, my focus was to make her really glisten and glam, and his to have some highlighting here and there. So let's get a little bit closer and let's take a look. Let's see what this looks like. Are you okay? He's like half dreaming and he wakes up and he's like, oh, what? Okay, I guess we can, I guess this will work. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of read it up. So here you can see a lot of that Starlight Opal is here. It's that kind of bronze look. And then you also have some of that glow glass throughout the kind of spiral up here. You can see all that confetti, but from far away it looks really good. His little antennas are all of that glow glass. And then moving over to her side and her mask, you can see all those different shades of gold kind of doing their detailing. They're usually used where we had the brightest colors, so you're going to find them on the center of the image for the most part. So there we go. So that's all just mixed in dazzlers. You can see here in this swirl, we have a lot of that opal glow glass, a lot of that moonstone. And then you can see that hand up close, what that rendering looks like. See, it looks a little bit different when it's up close, but from far away, it looks better. Here in her cap, you can see that we have a lot of that gold, as well as some of the butternut and all that stuff you can see there. And then moving over to their face or his face, you can see just a few of the moonstones here and there. For the most part, it's straightforward. And then we kind of have a line of them and then some of that coral reef on his lips or their lips. She's got some more of that coral reef on her lips, and then you start to get to kind of mainly her skin tone. There's no real enhancements. You can see because I charted all of this symbol to be that opal starlight that it did sneak its way in here and there. I almost omitted it, but I just said, you know what? I think it's fine. Once again, under her chin too. I don't know if I'd necessarily do that again. I almost thought of it, maybe it's a strap. It's like a little strap to hold her cap on, but I think it's supposed to be shadow. I might change that if I was to do it again. And then she's got one like in her armpit, but from far away, it's fine. Lots of that coral reef there next to her face on his sleeve / her hair, depending on which version you're looking at. And then he's kind of got this kind of frilly chest piece here that's got a lot of that, the rose gold throughout there. And then you start to get down to his area here of his kind of robe or cloak, where you see a lot of both the coral reef and then the ruby sunlight jazzy gem. So you can see that jazzy gem there and then the coral reef. So it's got a slightly different look because one's the resin, or I'm sorry, the acrylic, and the other one's glass. So you can kind of see the difference there. Here's like right there, you can see there's those plastic ones here, and then there's the coral reef. So they give a different look, and I kind of like that. The jazzy gems are more true to the other drills, whereas the sparklers are really kind of focused, are really kind of their own world. You can see in his hand too, since I had charted it that way, you're gonna get some of the jazzy gems mixed into his hand. I think it looks fine from a distance, but in retrospect, I would maybe leave those regular. Some drills, and we'll talk about my process here in a minute. So once again, here in the flowers on his cloak or robe, lots of coral reef and then the ruby sunlight kind of throughout. Now, my favorite part, sorry for shaking you, is her dress. This is kind of the whole reason I decided to do these enhancements. I wanted this dress to have so much texture and so much depth and dimension. I wanted it to look like fabric. I wanted it to look like you could see it ruffled and bunched as she's leaning. This dress to me is everything. So you can see here at the top, we start with a lot of gold here. And then as you get to the center here where the light is kind of hitting it, that's where you're really getting that, the lots of transitions of enhancement colors. And up close, it almost looks a little too busy when you're just like less than a foot away from it. It almost looks a little too busy. And as I was working on it, I was like, gosh, when I take a step back, I really hope this turns out. And I really think it does. I had to make some decisions here as it got into her hand, which ones I was going to enhance or not. So I had to kind of hand chart this a little bit in the hand, and then a little bit when the dress comes up to her armpit here, like what's skin and what's dress and what's background. So I had to make some decisions here as well. But on this side, it's more dark, so it's easier to get that definition. And then some decisions had to be made here of where does her skin end and where does the dress start, because a lot of these colors kind of bled down into these brighter ones here. So I had to make some decisions there as well, but I think it turned out okay. Let's go ahead and take a look from far away. So I really think that from a viewing distance, this piece here really comes together. And I do feel like it almost looks kind of like you're getting some bunching here in the fabric. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy with how this turns out. I think it looked fantastic. If you end up picking up this kit and you need, you want me to kind of show you what I used, feel free to let me know. Also, you have a fabulous resource through Randy. You can call me Butter. She has a business called Bling the Damn Thing, where she will go through your kit and help you identify where some enhancement drills will go. And she's a professional makeup artist, design artist. She knows her colors and her matching things up and aesthetics. I'm a total novice. I just did what felt right. And as you can see throughout this, there's definitely some areas that if I was to do this kit all over again, I might make some changes. But I think from a viewing distance, it comes together really well. So quickly, oh, I'm so sorry. I keep kicking the tripod. So quickly on how I did that. I section off my canvas with the release paper, so I do it row by row. So I'll do this row and the rest will have the plastic so I can still see the rest of the image. Once this row has drills on it, I lift up the plastic and then put these down, and then I just do that. For this canvas, because I wanted to kind of see where I was going with my enhancements, I would get to like a section like this and I would peel up the plastic to reveal this entire thing. So this was all just open. And then I would put my release paper kind of around it, and then go through and make my decisions on what's going to get enhancement drills and what's not, and then kind of tackle it from there. So I had to kind of do a little bit different than I normally would. I would typically just go into the next section blindly and not even worry about the section before or the section after. But because I was trying to create some depth and dimension here, I wanted it to look a little bit more uniform and consistent. So there are some pieces here where I looked at it and it called for an enhancement drill and I was like, let's leave it regular. Or based on what I was wanting to do, it should stay regular, but I decided to enhance it. So I just had both containers with me. I would have one, let's say one of them was 18, which it often was. I'd have my two containers with me. One would say 18, and the one next to it in my storage system would say 18 sparkler, 18 enhancement. And so I'd get to a section of that color and I'd have the containers in my hand and I'd hold them next to it and say, I'm going to go with the regular. I'm going to go with the enhancement. So I had to make those decisions throughout, which does take a little bit longer, but if you have both of the drills in hand and you can make those decisions as you're working on the kit, I think that is a good strategy just as much as it is to look at the kit when you kit it up and try to make all those calls before you even start putting drills down. That can sometimes put you, kind of pigeonhole you into being like, oh, I wish I would have done this, or, oh, should I grab that? So I think just kitting it all up together, your enhancement drills, your regular drills, anything that you think you might want to use, have your palette with you so you can make those decisions as you're diamond painting. It seems daunting, but it's not too bad. I only made, it sounds like a lot, but 11 decisions here. And some of them I didn't make until I got to them. So for instance, this here is all done in the moonstone and the glow glass and some aqua. I didn't know I was going to do any of that until I got here, and I was like, this needs a little something. So that's when I grabbed those drills and started using them I decided to use them anywhere they were located in the mask. So on his actual robe, there isn't any of that because, like I said, I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle than her dress. So the mask for this figure is where I decided to kind of put some bling. So I didn't know that until I had completed all the way to up here. So just stuff like that. Just keep your eyes on those colors. Think about if it will draw some positive attention to that area of the kit. And it's not as daunting as it looks. And this was so much fun. I hope you like it. So yeah, that's kind of everything. This kit, like I said, is going to be available today. Your specific time will be listed in the description box. And as a thank you to all of the viewers that have watched this series, and as a thank you to those that maybe watch this and are inspired to go snag this kit, if you put in your comments for your purchase, Anthony sent me, you will be receiving a bag of the Ruby Sunlight Jazzy Gems, as well as some gold dazzlers, which aren't the same as what we have here, but I think they're going to be really close to our gold sparklers. So you'll already have a couple of bags of drills to go in, and I used just, this is what was sent, and so I still have all of this left over in the Distracted by Diamonds bags. So you'll have plenty to do here. My one suggestion, and maybe I should have put this in, I don't think it's a con, it's just working with your mediums and your materials. The Jazzy Gems are slightly larger than your traditional gem, ever so slightly. So what I ended up running into is some of these, I had originally charted all of this, which is the Jazzy Gem. You can see these deeper reds here. I originally wanted all of that to be Jazzy Gem, but when I started to put such a big cluster of those Jazzy Gems next to each other, they started to encroach on some of the other spaces for the drills because they're just a little, ever so slightly too big. But if you alternate, like I did here, this was symbol 4, so I do regular, I just kind of checkerboarded those. That's how I was able to do it. I could get up to 5 Jazzy Gems in a row or in a block together before it started encroaching on other gems or other diamonds. So that's something to keep in mind. And you could also just split the difference. So, you know, there 5 of them are taking up the space of 6. I don't think it would really affect the canvas in any way. You just have to play with that to make sure it makes sense for you. Most of the time, I wouldn't suggest even doing such a big clump of those enhancement drills anyway, so I doubt it's going to be an issue, but I did want to call it out because it's something I ran into pretty early on. I was like, oh, hold on a minute. These are like, they've got a little flair to them, which gives them a really cool look from a facet standpoint, but when you put like 6 of them in a row, it starts to encroach on what's charted on the canvas. So just wanted to provide that little word of advice there. So all you have to do in the comments for your purchase is put Anthony sent me, same as our last series, Anthony sent me, and you will receive 2 bags of enhancement drills for free from Robin as a thank you for watching this series and purchasing this kit. I really think this is going to be a popular one. Every time I look at it, I can't take my eyes off of it. I just see new things, even though I'm the one that worked on it. And I think it lends itself so well being round, being really colorful, while still having some color blocking and confetti. I think it lends itself to a ton of different diamond painters. I could see people really loving this one, and it's something that is beautiful enough to hang in your home, I believe. Just like a lot of other diamond paintings, but this is just, it's stunning. People are gonna walk by this and be like, what the heck, you know? The masks here are what really sell me. I can't stop looking at the camera and what's going on up there. Can you believe that dimension and that contouring of that mask? It's incredible. It's incredible, Robin. So yeah, let me know what you think. I thank you so much for watching through this series. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this piece. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video of this that isn't necessarily part of the series, but I'm going to be sealing this canvas with a new product. So be on the lookout for that video. Coming up is going to be sealing this. I'm going to paint the border black, and this is actually going to get hung in the hallway. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this one. If it's your cup of tea, if it's not, if you are already over to the site wondering where it's at. And yeah, and it also, if you have any other similar artists or artist styles, or you want to see more of this type of artwork from Distracted by Diamonds, let me know. I'd love to provide that feedback back to Robin. So thank you so much again, one last time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of this content. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started in sealing this and painting it, get it all prepped, And yeah, I think that'll do it. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy placing. Bye, 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 bye.